Hello everyone, this is Randy, K0RWB. In the last 8 weeks of doing my live stream on YouTube, I've met so many wonderful people and have received many emails, texts, and comments. And for that I'm truly thankful for the time many of you have taken to check in with me and to watch me on YouTube. Many of you have asked, what logging program do I use and how do I like it? Well, for the past several years, I've been using a program called LOG4OM. It's a wonderful program, has many features, and it can be used for QSO tracking, awards, as well as contesting. So today I'm making a short video on how to set up and use LOG4OM, including the cluster feature. Now there are many features with the program that I don't currently use, so this video is designed to get you up and running and start logging your contacts. So let's get started. Whatever search engine you wish to use, you type in log4om.com at the top of the search bar and it'll bring you to this page. At the very top you'll see a download feature. We want to click on download. It'll bring you to the next page, and LOG4OM is a free program. They do give you an option to donate if you wish, and that helps with any updates, enhancements to the program, and so forth. So you have two options on the download. You can download what they call the full version or the portable version. Now I have used both programs and I honestly don't see a difference between the two, so I've used the full version. So you can click on the program and it'll start to download, and after a few minutes, depending on your internet speed, it will allow you to designate where you want to send the program onto your hard drive. It'll tell you what other features it has. It also gives you an option to click on a little box for OmniRing, and you certainly want to use OmniRing so the program will talk to the radio through the computer. So after that's done, you'll come to this page right here. This is the entry page of LOG4OM. Now my program is currently up and running, so initially you will not see the frequencies at the very top. It'll just say offline. So to get started with the program, you first want to go to File. You want to open and make a new database, and it'll bring you over to this particular page here. At the very top you want to start with Program Settings. And here it'll automatically check for automatic updates. You can set it for distances between kilometers and miles, default log information, and also click on automatic backup. So as soon as you close the program, it will actually back up the files for you. And there are many different drop downs here. Some of these I use and some I don't, but some are more important than others. On the program scheduler, if there's certain updates that you want to put in, like club log or update for awards, you can certainly do so. Or upload to the ADF, which you can take and put on LOTW, you can do that. HRD log and so forth, and you can actually designate the intervals of when you want those to upload. So you can put those in there. And same with performances. You can enable these different sections if you want. I don't particularly use those at this time, but those are things you can look at later date. And then you can go to user configuration. Well, it'll give you a configuration code just by logging on to it, and then you can put in description in there. My nickname is Boomer, so I use Boomer. And then station information will pop up as next, and then you can put in your call sign, your grid square, the information down here. I have it designated for miles, so it'll give us miles. It'll tell you short path and long path, and then you can put the rest of your information in here as well. And then you can also put in any type of references that you have. And then there's station configuration. It's not necessary to put it in here, but you can for any tracking purposes or awards down the road or for contesting. And I have my information in here. I have the FTDX10 and my hex beam information is put in here. That way, on some contests, they like to have information about what information or what equipment was used. It would automatically pop up. Then you come to the confirmation page. What confirmations do you want? I generally use LOTW. I have the other ones designated as well. and you can put any kind of default messages. I always put in thanks to the contact 73s, but you can put any kind of message in there that you wish to use as well. Now in the database, it will ask you to create a new one. I currently have one in there, so I won't do that. You can open up an old one if you've had it, and you can also test it as well. And then you have the option for any external services. If you want to use qrz.com club log and the API key, you would have to type in that bar, and that gives you the information of what would be uploaded currently right here. And then user preferences. If there's any certain preferences you want to use on particular bands, you can designate those here. I use external service delayed on upload, so it's not automatically, delay gives it an option for the computer, the program to run a little bit quicker, but you can designate that however you want, or you can just try it and see it yourself. Next one is software configuration, and this is the cluster. I have it set up so the cluster will come on auto start, and so will the server as well. And now we'll actually ask it to show the cluster groups. And this section over here will actually help you identify in a short amount of time stations worked. I have set for light green, workstations. Stations I have not worked to be in white. Again, you can change foreground and background colors to whatever desire you used that you'd like to have. This configuration here on the server port and cluster age is already set by default. You can change that for more or less items. Again, I leave it at the default setting and it's worked fine for me. And then again, info providers, I generally have the browser set up on this particular program to go right to QRZ. So when I put in someone's call sign, it uses QRZ versus ham QTH or some of the other ones that are available here. If you wish to use those, you would just put in your user information if you have an account for them, and your password, and then you could designate those accordingly. Under map settings, you have different map displays. The world map, that is the default. You have several different under displays that you can put up as well. I kind of like using the default one. Again, you can change text and colors. You can actually upload your own map if you wish. I like to use the default settings. It works fine with me. And then backups. Any backup folders you wish to put on here, again, it will generate a backup every time you log on, but if you wish to have it designated to an external sort or a thumb drive, you could do that here as well. And then auto start, again, I let this set at the default settings. It has worked well for me. There are other things you can add to it in the certain process, but again, I use the default settings, but you could read further with it and see if it's something that would work for your particular situation. It does have a chat feature as well. I have not used the chat feature, but if you wish to, you have different sounds that will allow you, if someone is wanting to chat with you, a separate window would pop up. And in the audio devices, you can actually set up for external speakers, the speaker into the rig, and the same way with the microphone. I currently have it set up so you're able to hear me when I talk, but I also have this set through my radio so they're able to communicate. And then the CAT interface, this is the important part, so the computer and the program talk to the radio. It is set up for OmniRing. I do not have it set up for any type of delays. You can invert SSB. I do not do any inversions at all. I do have enable push to talk. I do not use that feature, as I use other ways of using the microphone. Again, you can look through these to see if any of these other options would work for your particular setup. In software integration and connections, again, if you use an external server or if you're using remote, this is where you will put in your information for any type of remote setups. You can also have this program work with an antenna rotor. You have this setup capabilities here, what connections are required. And then the ADIF functions, if you wanted to upload to LOTW, again, you can have your setup sections right here. So once this is all done and changes are made, you go to the top and you'd hit supply, save and supply, and then you would come up to the very top up here and you would go to connect, and we'd go down to CAT and then click on show CAT. For my particular radio setup, these are the settings that I use. If you have any doubt about what COM port is being used, you can go down to the search on the start and you can type in device manager and look for COM ports, and you can see what ports are open or what port is being used for that particular computer and radio setup. and you put your port settings here. A quick note for new users of the Yaesu FTDX10 or even the 101, LOG4OM has not currently added a drop down for that particular radio. So what I have found for the FTDX10, if I use the Yaesu FT991 rig type in my particular port, then I do have the radio that does work with the program. So once that's done, now you can see our frequency at the very top. So it is now tracking. So as I move the wheel, it is going to track as we use the program. So let's just go ahead and put a call sign in, and let's see if we can get this to work. We'll put in my call sign, and it will start searching. It'll start the data lookup, and it just so happens it pulls up my call. Now it'd be a little different with the map. If it was someone on the east or west coast, you would actually see a straight line to whatever location that particular call sign would be based on information that's put in to QRZ. It also gives you a detailed map which gives the location, and you can actually zoom in by holding down the control key on your keyboard, and if you have a mouse wheel you can zoom in and zoom out to that particular location where that call sign is. And some individuals on their QSL or QRZ pages have a display picture. This is my display picture. And if you want to see their actual page, you have the top button which saves the QSO. The second one is the web lookout. And if you did put in their call but it was wrong, you can actually hit this and it'll actually clear that one. So in this instance, we'd go to lookup, and it would pull up this particular page, which happens to be my web page. And then again, there's the prime picture and so forth. And again, this is how you would actually look up individuals and use the information or make comments about their page and so forth. The next section down here is the main view, which we are just looking at right here. Recent QSOs. Any recent QSOs you've had will all be logged with the date and the time, the call sign, band, and so forth. You can change and move these around. You can add or take some away, the different information. And when you use the contesting feature, a lot of these are actually deleted. And then on the cluster, we want to get the cluster set up. We want to go up here to connect. We want to set up Telnet Cluster. Mine is currently running, but initially when you set it up, it will not be connected. So we would want to go to options, and we want to, you can update the file list or file, and you can start a new one. There is an internal server, the cluster itself, which would pop up like we show here. But initially we want to start with connections. There are multiple servers on this program that you can use to get cluster. Some work better than others. Some have been added over the years. There are several that I have used for many, many years. You can certainly pick as many as you want, and you can designate those accordingly. I have 4 down here that I have used over the years and have served me very well. But if you ever wanted to add one, we wanted to add this one here, we would click on it and highlight it, and then we'd go up here and hit the plus bar, and it would get loaded down here to active servers. So once you've got that situated, you go over here and you'd hit the save button, and then it hit connect. It would automatically start connecting to the cluster, which will start to look like this. And then you can start the server, which works internally to keep track of all the different contacts. We'll close this out. So then you go here to the cluster, and currently on 20 meters, which is where we're at on right now, 20 meters, this is what's shown on the cluster. The date, the time in Zulu, their call sign, what frequency, where they're at, and so forth. And anything in green, these are stations that I have worked in the past. The stations that are in red, I have not worked. So if you're out chasing particular calls or particular locations, you would know that these are countries you haven't worked. Now, one nice thing about this, you can also double click on the frequency, and the program will take you right to that call sign. So I just double clicked on 14195. It has gone up to the very top. It has also changed my radio to 14.195. So again, if you want to hunt in pounds, you're looking for particular call signs, you can add those in there. The propagation page, this is a 30-day, or roughly a 30-day window of propagation that will tell you when the band is good and when the bands aren't good, with the information that's supplied here. Of course, this is what's set for 20 meters. You can change the circuit reliability and any bands you want, so forth. Graph or raw data can be provided as well. And for this particular station, you can also click on to see if you've ever worked that station before. And then the information would be relayed down here when you worked them last, and so on and so forth. For the contest mode, at the very top over here, you've got a couple of drops down. Here's the open cluster. There's the wind keyer. There's the contest interface, the band map, if you're not too familiar with that, the super cluster, and then you can show the cat interface. So if we went to contest interface, this would be the contest mode, and then you would basically put in what contest it is. Again, I put this information in earlier, the radio, the antenna, and so forth, and you can change your power accordingly. So that would be the contest mode, and then you can exit and go back out. So again, here's this call we had earlier, Alpha 61 Romeo, and here is the individual's name. This is the grid that's automatically put in for you. He is an LOTW user and also subscribes to QRZ. The frequency, and at the very top, if you're running a beam antenna, you have the azimuth, the short path and long path, so that way you can actually turn your beam to what location. And then this is the world map, shows you his location, and this is the zoom in map that you can zoom in or zoom out to give you an idea where they're at. You can zoom in a little bit closer and so forth. So it's a neat little geography function that LOG4OM does provide for you. So that's really a quick rundown. Again, if you wanted to export your QSOs, you would go down here to hit export. It'll ask you where you want to export those to, a thumb drive or an external hard drive and so forth. And then you could load those up to LOTW. The contest mode, again, the view mode, you can actually view your statistics. The propagation that we talked about. On utilities, there's a QSL, a QSO manager that you can use. There's a logbook that you can actually print out. There's net control. If you run a net, it allows you some other settings. If you were making some changes in the program, you didn't like it, you could go back to settings, and you go down to the bottom here, the program configuration, and it will bring you back to this page that we started with earlier. If you wanted to make any difference to the cluster or your map settings, you wanted to change a particular world map to look this view or this view, just whatever changes you make here, make sure you hit save and apply, and then those would be saved and applied. So this is really a quick rundown. There's lots of other features that the program does have. These are just some of the basic features that I've used on a continual basis. Again, some people had asked about how you set it up and how to connect it to the cluster, how to connect it to your radio, how they interface one another. There are certainly more detailed functions that the program does design. There is a help drop down up here as well. There's information that you can actually get from the creators of the program. There's a donate button. I would certainly encourage people to donate. So that's what I really have for you today. There are many other things the program can do for you. This was kind of a down and dirty program, but I wanted to take a few minutes and give you my take on the program. I enjoy the program. It works quite well. There are many other programs that do many other features. I like this. It's a little bit faster on the cluster, and I like the way how it tracks and updates the recent QSOs I've had. So again, I'd like to thank you so much for all the QSLs, QSOs I've had, the contacts and comments, whether it be on the air, on the live stream, on YouTube, And please keep them coming. Again, if you enjoy these, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, notifications, and we'll just kind of see where we go from here. If any of you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see that maybe I can help with, any future videos, please share those in the comments. I'm good in QRZ. You can send me an email, and we could certainly talk further. So for now, I'll say 7 threes. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is K0RWB, Clear, and QRZ.